What if the man you thought was gone forever suddenly walked back into your life? The one person who held your heart. The one you cried for every night. The one you thought you would never see again. Imagine the shock, the fear, the joy, and the storm of emotions crashing in all at once. That is what Amy Fleming faces in the brand new season of Heartland, because Ty Borden is back alive and standing right before her eye. 4 years, the Fleming family has carried the heavy shadow of Ty's absence. Amy was left broken, yet determined to raise her daughter Lyndy with strength and love. She smiled for her family, she worked hard at the ranch, but every quiet moment reminded her of what she had lost. Ty was not just her husband, he was her partner. In every sense of the word, they had built dreams together, carved out a future filled with hope, and suddenly, all of it was torn away. The nights were the hardest. Amy often sat by the barn looking out into the dark sky, replaying the last memories she had of him. She told herself she had to move on for Lyndy, but moving on did not mean forgetting, no matter how many years passed. Ty's presence was still alive in her heart. Every corner of the ranch whispered his name, the fences they fixed together, the horses they healed as a team, even the path they used to walk hand in hand. The family tried to protect her. Lou reminded her that life must go on. Jack stood as her pillar, always there with quiet strength, yet deep inside Amy's smile was a mask. Her soul was scarred, and her heart carried a wound time refused to close. The loss had shaped her into someone stronger, but also someone who carried an endless aching. Now, just when she believed she had finally made peace with the silence, just when she thought she had learned to live with the emptiness, fate twists the story. A shadow returns. A familiar voice breaks the quiet. Ty Borden, the man everyone believed was gone forever, walks back into Heartland, and nothing will ever be the same again. The day began like any other morning at Heartland. The air was cool, the horses restless in their pens, and Amy carried her quiet routine with practiced calm. She moved through the chores with the steady rhythm of someone who had learned to hide her pain under layers of duty and love for her daughter. Nothing about this day hinted that it would change her life forever. As Amy walked across the yard, her eyes caught a figure in the distance. At first she thought it was a ranch hand, maybe a neighbor passing through. She squinted against the sun, trying to make sense of the man's slow, steady steps. He carried himself with a weight in his shoulders, as if every movement took strength. The closer he came, the harder Amy's heart pounded. Something in her soul stirred. Recognition, a feeling she had buried long ago, rushed to the surface. Her breath caught in her chest. No, this could not be possible. She shook her head, refusing to believe her eyes. Her mind told her it was a trick. Her heart screamed. It was real. The man stopped a few feet away. Dust clung to his boots and his face was worn, but his eyes, those familiar eyes, held the same warmth, the same fire that once healed her in ways words never could. Amy froze. The world around her went silent. She could not hear the wind. She could not feel the ground beneath her. She could only see him. Ty Borden stood before her. All of Amy's lips trembled. She wanted to run to him, yet her legs would not move. Her hands shook with fear and longing. Tears blurred her vision, and she whispered his name in disbelief. Her voice broke, as if speaking it aloud would make the moment vanish, but Ty did not disappear. He reached out his hand, his gaze locked with hers, carrying the weight of years lost in love. Unspoken time stopped in that fragile silence. Heartland itself seemed to hold its breath. Amy's world was breaking open all over again, but this time not with grief, with shock, with questions, and with the kind of hope that both heals and hurts in the same heartbeat. His knees felt weak, as if the earth had shifted beneath her. She wanted to collapse into his arms, but the memory of years without him chained her in place. A fire rose in her chest, anger colliding with relief, sorrow clashing with joy. Every emotion she had locked away broke free all at once. Her voice cracked as she demanded answers. Where were you? Why didn't you come back? Do you know what you did to me? Do you know what you did to Lyndy? Each question struck the air, heavier than the last. Her tears fell freely now, but they were not only tears of joy, they carried years of loneliness. Long nights of grief and the burden of raising their daughter without him. Ty stood still, his face carved with guilt. His eyes searched hers, not with the pride of a man returning home, but with the regret of someone who knew the weight of his absence. He tried to speak, but the words caught in his throat. He reached forward as if to hold her, but Amy stepped back, trembling, her body torn between wanting to run into him and wanting to push him away. Her voice rose again, softer this time, almost breaking. "You were my life. You were my heart. How could you let me believe you were gone?" She pressed her hand to her chest as if holding herself together, afraid she might shatter into pieces right there in front of him. Silence hung heavy between them. Only the wind moved across the ranch, carrying with it the cries of horses unsettled by the tension. Amy's daughter Lyndy peeked from the porch, her small voice calling for her mother. That sound pierced Amy deeper than anything else, because the man standing before her was not just her lost love. He was the father her daughter had longed for. Amy turned her face away, her tears soaking into the silence of the ranch. For the first time in years, she felt the ache of love and the wound of betrayal at the same time. Ty Borden was alive, yet the world did not feel simple again. It felt heavier, more complicated, as if every step forward would demand a choice between forgiveness and fury. For a long moment, Ty said nothing. His silence felt louder than the wind in the trees, louder than Amy's heartbeat in her ears. Finally, he drew in a shaky breath and spoke. His voice was rough, worn down like a man who had walked through deserts and storms. But it was still his voice, the one Amy had memorized long ago. "I never wanted to leave you. I never wanted to leave."
Ow.
"Lyndy," he said slowly, each word heavy with regret. "I was forced into a place I couldn't escape. I fought every day to get back to you." "You have to believe." Mammy's chest tightened at his words. She wanted to believe. She wanted to fall into his story and let it erase every lonely night, every tear on her pillow. But the years of silence cut deep, and the wound was not so easily healed. Her eyes narrowed, her voice low. "Why now? Why after all this time?" Ty lowered his gaze, his hands trembling at his sides. "The truth is long and hard, but I swear, I never stopped loving you, never stopped dreaming of coming home." His words cracked, but his eyes burned with the same fire she remembered, the same fire that once healed her broken place. As Jack had stepped onto the porch, now his weathered face frozen. In disbelief, he stood there, gripping the railing like the ranch itself was holding him up. Lou came next, her eyes wide, her mouth opening and closing as if searching for words. Lyndy clutched her aunt's hand, staring at the man she had only seen in pictures she did not understand yet, but her little heart felt the weight of the moment. Amy turned back to Ty, her tears unending. This was the man she had buried in her heart, mourned in silence, and carried like a shadow for so long. And here he was breathing, standing, trembling in front of her, alive. She wanted to scream. She wanted to embrace him. The storm inside her only grew. Ranch seemed to grow quiet, as if every tree, every fence post, every horse was listening. Ty's words hung in the air, fragile but unbreakable. "I came back for you, Amy. I came back for us." And with those words, the weight of the past collided with the fragile hope of tomorrow, leaving Amy to wonder whether love, once broken, could ever truly be whole again. The ranch had always been a place of healing, a place where broken horses found strength again, and where broken hearts learned to breathe. But tonight it felt like a battlefield. Emotions clashed like thunder. Amy stood frozen between the past and the present, while her family gathered around her, trying to make sense of the man who had walked out of memory and into their yard. Lou was the first to break the silence. She stepped forward, her voice sharp with disbelief. "How are we supposed to accept this? We buried you, Ty. We mourned you. Do you understand what this family went through?" Her words carried the protective edge of a sister unwilling to see Amy suffer again. Jack stayed quiet. His weathered eyes never left Ty. He had raised the boy into a man, taught him the weight of responsibility and the meaning of family. To see him alive was both a blessing and a test. Jack's silence said more than words. He did not rush to embrace him, but he did not turn away either. He studied Ty as if searching for the truth in every line on his face. Lyndy tugged gently at Amy's sleeve. Her small, innocent voice broke through the tension. "Mommy, is that my daddy?" Amy's heart shattered at the sound. She knelt beside her daughter, hugging her close, unable to answer. Her tears wet the child's hair, while her trembling hands gripped too tightly, afraid of losing everything again. His eyes softened at the sight of his daughter. He wanted to kneel, to hold her, to whisper every promise he had carried for years. But he did not move, not yet. He knew he had to face Amy first. He knew her trust, once broken, would not return with a single embrace. Amy finally spoke, her voice low and trembling. The silence, she shook her head, her tears burning. You may have come back, Ty, but the man I loved, the man I needed, he died a long time ago. Her. With conviction? Then let me prove to you that I am still him. Let me prove that love survives even the darkest night. The ranch grew still again. The horses quieted. The wind softened. The world seemed to pause, waiting for Amy's answer, waiting too. See if the door she had closed so long ago could ever open again. Amy's breath steadied, but her heart did not. She watched. Ty, with a sharpness that only years of pain could create, something in his eyes troubled her, not just guilt, not just longing, but a shadow of something he was still hiding. She had spent enough of her life reading horses and people to know when a soul carried secrets, and Ty's soul was heavy with them. Tell me the truth, Amy whispered, not in anger this time, but in quiet. Demand, if you were alive all this time, where were you? What kept you away? Why didn't you find a way back sooner? Ty's lips parted, but no words came. Silence was louder than any confession. His hand trembled at his side, his gaze falling too. The ground. He had rehearsed this moment countless times in his mind, but standing in front of Amy, his strength wavered. The truth was a burden that could either unite them or break them. Apart forever, Jack's voice cut into the silence, steady and firm. If you want us to believe you, Ty, you owe this family more than shadows. Say it. Say what kept you away. Jack's tone carried not only authority, but hurt, the hurt of a man who had loved Ty as a son and buried him once already. Lou's arms folded across her chest, her eyes sharp. She had already prepared herself for disappointment. She knew that whatever Ty revealed could hurt Amy again, and she was ready to shield her sister from it. Lyndy, meanwhile, stood half hidden behind Amy, her small eyes searching her father's face for answers she could not understand. Finally, Ty lifted his head, his eyes locking on Amy's with a pain that mirrored her own. I wasn't free, he said slowly. I was trapped in something bigger than us. Something I couldn't control. He took a breath, his voice cracking. They made sure I couldn't reach you, Amy. Every attempt, every message, every step forward was crushed before it could reach. Amy's tears welled again, but this time, not only with grief, with fear, because in his words, she heard danger. She heard a past that might still be chasing him. She heard a truth that could drag their family into a storm even greater than the one they had already survived. Her voice quivered with both anger and love. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why carry this alone? Ty stepped forward, his voice low. Because I thought keeping you safe was more important than keeping you close. The words pierced her. She trembled, torn between fury and love, torn between relief that he still cared and heartbreak that his silence had cost them years together, but apart, alive, but hidden. Ty Borden's return was not the end of a tragedy, but the beginning of a mystery that could either destroy or save the heart of Heartland. The night fell heavy over Heartland. Shadows stretched long across the fields, the stars above, cold and distant. Amy stood on the porch, her arms wrapped around herself as if holding her heart together. Ty stood only a few feet away, yet the distance between them felt wider than all the years they had lost. Her mind was a storm. One part of her wanted to run into his arms, to let the pain dissolve in the warmth of his touch. The other part screamed to protect herself and her daughter from another heartbreak. How could she trust him? How could she let herself believe in love that had once left her broken? Ty stepped forward, his voice quiet but steady. I don't expect forgiveness tonight. I don't expect you to forget the years I was gone. All I ask is for a chance, one chance to show you I am still the man who loves you, who belongs here with you. And Lyndy's tears glistened in the moonlight. She looked at her daughter, who stood at the doorway, her little eyes filled with hope that hope pierced through Amy's defenses. Lyndy deserved her father, but Amy deserved the truth, the whole truth. She raised her chin, her voice trembling. If you want this family back, then you'll have to prove it with every step, every step. Word every day, I will not lose you twice. Tithe words hung in the air like a vow, a warning, and a plea, all at once. Ty nodded, his eyes shining with both gratitude and sorrow. He knew the road back into her heart would not be easy. He knew every sunrise would be a test, every moment a trial, but he also knew he would fight for it. Jack finally broke his silence, his deep voice steady. This ranch has seen heartbreak before, and it has seen healing too. If you're truly back, Ty, then you'll have to earn your place all over again. His words were not cruel, but firm like a gatekeeper, watching over the family he loved. The night ended not with a resolution, but with a fragile thread of hope. Amy turned her face to Ty, her tears still falling. If you are really here, don't ever leave me again. Her voice broke, but her gaze did not waver. Ty stepped closer, not with the certainty of a man who had all the answers, but with the humility of one who had lost everything and been given a second chance. The air between them filled with both pain and promise, and so the story of Heartland began a new chapter, not with the comfort of answers, but with the weight of questions. Can love survive the scars of time? Can trust be rebuilt from ashes? Can a family heal when the past still lingers in every shadow? The screen fades to black, leaving only the sound of Amy's quiet breath and Ty's whispered reply, "I'm home."